What? Why are you here? I had just landed a job at a trading company and was surprised to run into my childhood friend at the welcoming ceremony. However, the department we were assigned to was divided into two factions led by the manager and assistant manager. And they were at each other's throats. Fortunately, my boss, Jessica, was a woman I greatly respected. But Michael, the assistant manager who was my childhood friend's boss, was a chauvinistic and persistent guy. A competition soon caused the four of us to get entangled in an extraordinary situation. My name is Sam. I work at a trading company. Job hunting was tough, but I managed to get into a decent company, so I can't complain. I attended the welcoming ceremony in my suit, listening to the boring speeches from the bosses and lining up to meet the person who would show me my assignment. Could it be, Sam? May I ask you name? A woman I didn't recognize called out to me. She seemed to know me, and after listening to her, I realized she was an old friend. Her name was Emily. She was a close childhood friend who used to live in my neighborhood. She had short hair and used to play with us boys, but now she was so feminine and beautiful that I didn't recognize her at first. My dad's job required us to move frequently, and when I was in middle school, we moved away, and I lost contact with Emily. Once I remembered her, a flood of memories came rushing back. Our friendship was rekindled by this reunion. Coincidentally, we were assigned to the same department, so we became close quickly. Initially, there were many training sessions, but once those ended, the busy days began. At first, I was just trying to learn the ropes, but after a while, I began to notice that the department was split into two major factions. Jessica and Michael led the rival factions, constantly clashing. The manager's name was Jessica. She was a career woman in her early 30s with an impressive track record, having overcome many competitors to earn her position. She was my boss. On the other hand, the assistant manager's name was Michael. He was Jessica's peer and equally ambitious. However, he was harsh with his subordinates and had a sexist attitude, which made him unpopular. He lost the race for the manager position to Jessica and ended up as her deputy. Apparently, he harbored a grudge against her. Emily's boss was Michael. Jessica was strict but gave clear instructions and had a natural leadership quality. While she reprimanded mistakes, she didn't hold grudges, making her easy to work with. The team's good atmosphere was undoubtedly thanks to Jessica. Because we weren't afraid of failing, our team's achievements reflected our success. I respected her as my boss. However, Emily scoffed at me for that. I get that you think Jessica is cool as a woman, but you're just sucking up to her. Don't you have any pride as a man? Jessica only got where she is because she's a woman, right? I was stunned by what Emily said at the bar. Emily wasn't the type to say such nasty things to people. She must have been influenced by Michael. At the same time, I felt a surge of anger. Considering she's a woman too, she should know that being a woman doesn't make it easier in the tough world of corporate promotions. For someone like Jessica, who is at a prime age for marriage and children, being a woman can actually be a disadvantage. In trading companies, maintaining connections with clients is crucial. Women of marriageable age are often overlooked for promotions due to the potential for marriage and childbirth. Unfortunately, this is still the reality in our industry. But Emily kept badmouthing Jessica every time we met, and I was getting fed up. I follow capable people, regardless of gender. You're being ridiculous. One day, I finally lost my patience. I slammed a $100 bill on the table in front of Emily and walked out of the bar. I couldn't bear to drink bad booze with her any longer. From that day on, Emily and I stopped talking. One day, the company announced a new product PR competition. Our client was a major company everyone knew. The stakes were high, and the competition was fierce. Jessica won the negotiation rights with the client. Michael had prepared meticulously, but he lost. Losing to Jessica infuriated Michael. No one expected what happened next. I never thought he would resort to such dirty tactics. Michael ordered Emily to do this. Emily, do something to bring her down. Emily was shocked and at a loss for words. No one expected him to drag a rival down after losing. Emily hesitated. Hey! Michael whispered in Emily's ear. You want to show up that cocky childhood friend of yours, Sam, don't you? Wake him up. I didn't know how Michael knew about our spat, but his words broke Emily. Jessica, I have nothing against you, but this is for Michael. Emily convinced herself and created a fake social media account in Jessica's name. And she leaked confidential information about the new product online. The information spread quickly. The client found out and the situation was exposed. Jessica was called in by her superiors and held responsible. It's a misunderstanding. I have no idea about any of this. Jessica desperately defended herself, but given the gravity of the situation, she was ordered a home confinement until her name could be cleared. Naturally, the negotiation rights were stripped from her. They were given to Michael, who had come in second. Back at her desk, Jessica slumped and packed her belongings. The floor was silent. As Jessica left, Michael was smiling. That's the end for her. Michael muttered with a smirk. Even though this situation could have severely damaged the company. Despite their bad relationship, it's as if he knew all along about what happened to Jessica. I couldn't help but look at him with suspicion. And then Jessica's retreating figure flashed through my mind. I hurried after her. Seeing me struggle to find the right words, Jessica led me to the rooftop. Sorry, but all eyes are on me inside the company. She handed me a cup of coffee as she spoke. She took a sip herself and sighed. I didn't do anything. It's still such a tough world for women. A single tear ran down her cheek as she murmured this. It was the first time I heard the usually confident Jessica express weakness. This is absolutely wrong. There's no proof that you did it. I couldn't help but shout. Yes, but without proof that I didn't do it, there's nothing I can do. I don't even use social media, it's such a hassle. She looked down as she spoke. Then you're innocent, Jessica. I believe in you. I won't let this slide. I'll find a way to fix this. Jessica gently patted my shoulder as I fumed. Thank you. She left after saying that. I was determined to find the real culprit. While Jessica was suspended, we had to work under Michael. Although it was frustrating, we had to follow the company's orders. Then one day, Emily spoke to me for the first time in a while. You've had a tough time too, but now you see that Jessica can't be trusted, right? Hearing her say this made my anger boil over instantly. Emily! Don't insult Jessica! I yelled. Michael stepped in between us, preventing a fight. No talking during work hours, Sam. You better think carefully about whose side you're on. Michael smirked at me condescendingly. I was convinced he was behind it. Now, I needed proof. I sent a DM to the fake social media account pretending to be Jessica. I know who you are. It was just one line. Given how big this situation had become, the culprit couldn't stay calm after seeing it. Carefully observing the surroundings, I noticed one person clearly distressed. Emily? She was pale and trembling. Why Emily? I was puzzled for a moment, but then it all made sense. I sent her a message from the messaging app, asking her to meet in a quiet spot. What's this about? It's rare for you to call me, Sam. Cut the crap. I sent that message to your account earlier. I looked her in the eye as I said this. What proof do you have? Threatening me through a DM is cowardly. I never said DM. Why are you so sure it was a DM? She fell for the trap. Fear had clouded her judgment. I showed her the fake account pretending to be Jessica. You did this, didn't you, Emily? Admit it. Seeing no way out, Emily confessed plainly. Yes, I did it. Why the hell would you do that? In my anger, I grabbed Emily's arm. Looking up at me with a tearful face, she shot back. It's your fault, Sam. You only talk about Jessica and hang out with her. I've known you longer, and I like you more. I was stunned by Emily's tearful confession. The shock made me loosen my grip on her arm. You idiot. I respect Jessica as a boss, but I have no romantic feelings for her. And you, well, setting that aside. Don't mix personal feelings with work. You're not a child. I muttered in disbelief. There's no excuse for sabotaging someone because of jealousy. Emily kept her head down, not looking up. Come on, you didn't do this alone. I know you wouldn't do something this underhanded. There must be another reason, right? When I asked, her eyes flickered for a moment, but she shook her head silently. If we don't clear this up now, the truth will remain hidden forever. I won't let that happen. If you're protecting someone, it's pointless. They won't protect you. They'll just discard you. This could lead to fraud charges and defamation. You'll lose your job and much more. I tried to scare her a little. After a brief silence, Emily broke down in tears. I never thought it would get this big. Michael ordered me to do it. Please, forgive me. She cried uncontrollably. Emily wasn't inherently bad. I felt my expression soften. You need to apologize to the right person. I lifted her face. Tell everything to Daniel, and then we'll apologize to Jessica together. I'll be with you. She nodded yes slightly. We went to find Daniel to tell him the truth, but someone was already there. It was David, the executive from our client company. David looked a bit surprised to see me but approached with a smile. Oh, it's you. Thanks for your help last time. I didn't expect to see you here. I greeted him lightly, trying to remember what he meant. Nice to see you again. I'm doing well. I chatted briefly. David, everything that happened was my doing. Jessica had nothing to do with it. I'm very sorry. Emily was stunned and stared at me. Of course, she would be. An innocent person was taking the blame. That's enough. David quickly interrupted. We owe you an apology too. Daniel, Emily, and I looked at each other as David scratched his cheek. He explained the situation. Although confidential information was leaked on social media, it had inadvertently garnered huge attention for the new product, leading to a surge in orders. Unexpectedly, the leak served as PR, with production unable to keep up with demand. But it left a bad taste because it looked like we threw Jessica under the bus. Despite what happened, we didn't suffer any loss. David said they wanted Jessica back on the project, promising to revise their social media policies to prevent future leaks. This was my initiative. I deeply regret using Jessica's name without permission. Jessica is very capable and trustworthy. Please reconsider. I apologized repeatedly. If you recommend Jessica, then I'm sure she's great. No worries. David smiled with satisfaction. Looking forward to working with you. He left, having spoken to Daniel. Daniel was left bewildered. No wonder. It's not every day you see an executive from a major company chatting amicably with a regular employee. Actually, I'm acquainted with David. I explained to Daniel with a wry smile. Back in high school, I found a lost little girl on my way home. She spoke in a lisp, and I patiently listened and took her to the police station. She was scared of the stern-looking officers and was anxious. I stayed with her until her guardian arrived. The one who came to pick her up was. It turned out her father was David. We kept in touch through Christmas cards since then. Oh, so that's why. I should have made you the negotiation lead. Daniel said, nudging my shoulder jokingly. But about the SNS issue, we can't just let it slide. Why did you do it? At Daniel's words, Emily, who had been standing there in shock, spoke up. No, Daniel. I couldn't say it earlier, but it was actually me. Idiot. Emily. I was covering for you. I tried to stop her, but it was too late. Daniel seemed to take her words more seriously because of my earlier lie. His gaze on Emily grew harsher. Daniel, I lied too, so I'm just as guilty. But listen, Emily wasn't the mastermind. Michael ordered her to do it. Daniel's eyes widened, and he pondered for a moment. I'll handle this for now. Keep this between us. He left abruptly. The next day, Jessica's suspension was lifted. Negotiations with the client resumed smoothly. Simultaneously, an opposite notice was posted. Emily and Michael's disciplinary actions. Emily received a few months' pay cut, considering she couldn't defy her boss's order. Michael was severely reprimanded and stripped of his position. He was demoted to a regular employee and transferred to a remote branch. Although he could have remained a regular employee, his pride couldn't stand working under Jessica, so he chose to transfer himself. As a result, Emily ended up working under Jessica. When Jessica returned, Emily sincerely apologized for her actions. That should have been the end of it, but I deeply regret what I did and apologize, but please stay out of our private matters. Sam is mine. Absolutely. No exceptions. She grabbed my arm as she said this. Jessica was momentarily speechless but then grinned, looking back and forth between us. Oh? Are you two like that? Well, now I feel like interfering. Sam is quite a catch. She laughed mischievously, causing me to hastily pull away from Emily. Well, I've hurt Emily's feelings, but I haven't agreed to anything. Even though she's grown into a beautiful woman, I still see her as the tomboyish kid from our childhood. Emily looked at me with tearful eyes. You promised to be my boyfriend when we were kids. You have to keep that promise. She whispered softly. Maybe my heart pounding was just my imagination. It seems my peaceful days are still far away.